What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out some new cards that just got revealed coming out in the Charmer Structure deck. Looks like the Charmer helpers have gotten beefed up. You guys know when it comes to these cards, they all have multiple forms. You got the Charmers, then you got Familiar Possessed, and then they also got Link Monsters in the Vrains era, so pretty much this was to be expected. Anyways, we're going to start with Awakening the Possessed, Archfiend Reaper of Nefariousness, level 5, Earth Beast Monster, 2000 attack, 200 defense. Okay, keeping the whole 200 defense thing going. It says your first effect, or no, the first effect is not a hard once per turn. It says the second and third effects actually are. First effect says you can special summon this card from your hand or deck, which is actually kind of crazy, by sending to the graveyard one face-up spellcaster monster you control and one face-up level 4 or lower Earth monster you control. It says the second effect is when this card is special summoned by the first effect, you can special summon one level 4 or lower monster from the graveyard, but its effects are negated. Third effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one spiritual Earth Art card or possess spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So this is actually kind of interesting because there are not a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that have monster effects that inherently let you special summon them from the deck. I mean, that is just absolutely crazy. When I first read this card, I was like, okay, special summon from the hand, and I don't really care about that. It's okay, kind of like a neg 2 to summon, but special summoning from the deck, like you don't even have to draw this card, that's kind of insane in my opinion. Now, this is a high-risk card because it does require that you give up two monsters essentially to summon one, so you are taking a neg 1, but actually you're kind of making that neg up immediately, because when this card is summoned, you can just Monster Reborn one of the, cards that you gave up, whether it be a Charmer or a Charmer Friend or whatever, you can just reborn that card. Now, when this card also goes to the graveyard, it does kind of float, so you can use those two monsters. Maybe you can go into, like the Earth Charmer Link monster, and then you can instantly search one of your possessed cards. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you run a lot of the spiritual art cards because most of them aren't really that good anymore. The fire, the earth one, I think the water one lets you look at your opponent's hand. That one's still pretty good, but in general, most of them aren't worth running. I would honestly look to just getting the possessed cards, which they got a new one. We're going to talk about that one in a hot second. But yeah, this card having that built-in Monster Reborn for two monsters, definitely very solid. And with the first effect, the way that it's translated on YG Organization, I don't think that it's actually a cost to send those two monsters to the graveyard. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think it's a cost right now. Anyways, we have Awakening the Possessed, Great Inari Fire. It's a level 5 Pyro monster, 2000 attack, 200 defense. These monsters are all probably going to have the same stat line. And then your second and third are hard once per turn. The first effect is basically identical to the last monster. You can special summon it from your hand or deck by sending a spellcaster and a level 4 or lower fire monster. So yeah, same thing, it's just fire instead of earth. Second effect, when this card is special summoned by the first effect, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of one monster your opponent controls. And it says the third effect is if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add spiritual fire art or a possessed spell or trap. So to me, this card is strictly worse than the first one. I understand that it does burn damage and that can be lethal if you're playing in time. Obviously it's a way to end the game in like the main phase or something like that. But honestly, I'm one of the players where I would almost always rather have advantage, like numerical advantage, than have burn damage. I mean, burn damage, again, in certain situations can be really cool, especially if you're ending the game with it. But would I rather get a Monster Reborn or just get burn damage? I'll take the Monster Reborn because with this card, you're giving up two monsters and you're only getting one. And the burn damage just doesn't make up for the numerical advantage, in my opinion. Also, don't play, at least I wouldn't play Spiritual Fire Art because it's just another burn card. If you're really doubling down on that and you want to play like a burn Charmer deck, okay, that's your prerogative. But in general, I would not personally play this one. I would play the Earth one that we just talked about, but this one, not so much because I just don't like going neg. Now, their new trap card And this is the second Possess trap card, which means both of these monsters can search that, but I would like to see more Possess. This is Teamwork of the Possess. It's a normal trap card, and it's kind of like the Thunder Dragon cards. You have two effects on this, but you have to pick and choose which effect that you want to use in a single turn. Your first effect says special summon one spellcaster with 1500 defense from your hand or graveyard in face-up attack position or face-down defense position, and then if there are two attributes among monsters you control, you can destroy one face-up card. Second effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one possessed continuous spell or trap in your graveyard, place it face up on your field. Okay, so with the second effect, just based on the card pool that we have now, it seems very much that they pretty much always want you to have unpossessed on the field. So unpossessed is the card that makes it so charmer monsters can't be destroyed by battle. It also makes it when your familiar possessed monsters attack, they all gain 1800 attack. It basically makes it very difficult to like run these damn things over in battle. Even if you kill them by card effect, they basically just replace themselves with like other familiar possess or like charmer monsters. So they kind of want you always to be able to have access with that with the second effect of this card. The first effect of this card is kind of nice. I like the way Konami is taking these cards that used to just kind of be like Call of the Haunteds for archetypes, and they've basically adjusted them to power creep. If you guys remember Cyber Rev System, which is like the monster born for cyber dragons, but it also lets you summon like a cyber dragon from your hand. Think basically that, because this card isn't just a Call of the Haunted for the familiar possess and charmer monsters, it also lets you potentially summon them face down to get those charmer flip effects, and then you can also special summon a monster from your hand. If you just for some reason don't have anything in your graveyard, you don't have to use your graveyard. You can actually just go ahead and use your hand, and then on top of that, there actually is a potential to pop one of your opponent's cards as well. So, you know, nice little bonus effect. I don't know how often you'll be able to get that off, but if you do, it's just a little icing on the cake, and that destruction effect does not target. So I'm perfectly fine only being able to blow up face-up cards if you're going to make it where I don't actually have to target the monster, so my opponent doesn't know, they might not know always what I'm actually going after. I mean, this feels like a good card, and again, these high-level monsters that we just talked about, since this does have possessed in the name, all of them can actually search this card. And you know, it's a card that has two effects. Even if you can't stack them in the same turn, over the course of a couple of turns, you should be able to get some like good value out of this card. But it's interesting to see where Konami is going with this. I would say that they're gonna need more, or at least they need at least one more possessed continuous spell or trap, because having everything pretty much work strictly on unpossessed is fine, but I would like to see a little more diversity in the trap lineup. So we'll have to see if we get that. Anyways, whatever you guys think of this new charmer support, you guys leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.